The excited people of Islamabad, capital of Pakistan, throng the streets of their colourful, crowded city. Last-minute preparations are being made for the arrival of a royal guest. But no ordinary royal visitor could so stir the hearts and minds of a people who, over the years, have seen princes and maharajas come and go. Today they're expecting a far more honoured and distinguished visitor, His Majesty King Khalid bin Abdul-Aziz, King of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, custodian of the Holy Kaaba, and spiritual leader of Pakistan's 50 million Muslim people. And as the headlines show, this is a visit to be savoured to the full, a joyous occasion for those who feel such deep kinship and affection for the King.
What are you doing, sir?
The twin cities of Islamabad and Rawalpindi are vibrant with anticipation as King Khalid's special Saudi Airlines Boeing flies in to herald the start of his 6-day royal visit. At the invitation of Pakistan's Prime Minister, the tour will take the King and his party of 80 through the twin cities to the site of the Faisal Mosque, to Lahore, Karachi, and finally home again. Although close friendship between the two peoples has existed for many years, this visit is seen in Pakistan as a milestone in the history of the relationship. They want to strengthen not only the already deep cultural and commercial ties, but also the cause of Islamic unity, to which both nations are so committed. Members of Pakistan's armed services on duty for the arrival are wearing immaculate new uniforms, specially designed for the occasion. Two brass bands are on duty, one to march with the Guard of Honour, the other above the air terminal playing patriotic tunes. The enthusiasm of the crowd shows the warmth and the depth of emotion the people feel at the arrival of King Khalid bin Abdul-Aziz. As His Majesty inspects the troops from Pakistan's 3 armed services, live television coverage ensures that no one in the country who cannot be in Islamabad will miss the occasion. And the event is also being transmitted live to Riyadh, the Saudi Arabian capital. And after the inspection, the march past as the bands play patriotic military music. As the King makes his way across the great red carpet to begin his state drive through the city, he's warmly greeted by Pakistan's military and political leaders. All too obvious is their keenness to please the King and desire to show him that he is their special friend and ally. In the streets, men, women and children are lined 6 and 7 deep to see the King drive past. And the spectacle is magnificent. Trained horses wearing ceremonial decorations prance by the roadside. Red-turbaned village folk dance the Sami as the King changes from the limousine to the state carriage for the rest of the drive to the state guest house. As night falls on Rawalpindi, the Presidency is the scene for a glittering banquet in honor of the royal party. Their host, the President of Pakistan, has invited the Prime Minister as well as the Senate Chairman. His His Majesty is accompanied by top Saudi officials, including ministers for defence, foreign affairs and information, as well as members of his royal family and special advisors. For the occasion of this sumptuous and glittering banquet, the gardens of the Presidency are beautifully illuminated. A grand occasion climaxed by a grand firework display, enjoyed not only by the banquet guests, but also, no doubt, by the thousands still celebrating late into the night in the city streets. After an hour and a half of talks with Pakistan's Prime Minister, His Majesty is due this second morning of his tour at Islamabad Sports Stadium for displays of mass gymnastics. In an atmosphere of close cordiality, the two leaders have been discussing the world situation, developments in the Middle East, and above all the friendly relations between Saudi Arabia and Pakistan. The warmth and confidence of the meeting showed the depths of understanding between the two nations and their leaders. Now at this massive and colourful stadium, a less formal engagement for King Khalid. It's an occasion that's taken months of preparation, training and rehearsal to greet His Majesty in the name of Allah, the most merciful and compassionate. Now the tableau behind the young athletes changes to bid His Majesty most welcome. The cards held by the rows and rows of children change smoothly over, as they will no less than 60 times during this display. The changing patterns are watched closely by His Majesty, who's advised on the meanings of the symbols, some of which are written in Urdu. The story of the display is that of the new Pakistan and its history and its aims for the future, as well as its close affinity with other Islamic nations through the cooperation and friendship of their leaders. Much of the effort being made concerns trade, and with Saudi Arabia, much expansion of business has taken place over the past few years. Massive loans and grants from the Saudis have helped Pakistan achieve a more secure economic future and ensure the best possible use of her industrial base and skilled manpower. A greeting to the King in Urdu, the language of the people, proclaiming long life to His Majesty. was on the 23rd of March 1940 that under the Lahore Declaration, the struggle for Pakistan's self-determination was focused on a resolution for Muslims on the Indian subcontinent to set up their own homeland. Pakistan should belong to the Pakistani people, and this history is the theme of the first act of this afternoon's display, culminating in a portrayal of the final achievement of independence on the 14th of August 1947. The chains of colonialism had finally been shattered. The second act of the display centres on the development of Pakistan's economy. One aim is self-sufficiency in food production in a part of a continent where millions can face starvation through flooding or drought. Cooperative farms, better irrigation methods, mechanization of agriculture are the weapons being used and represented here in this series of dances, songs and tableaux. The message of this tableau is that good irrigation is the key to improved crop production. And the hope each year of a bumper harvest. Industry, too, in Pakistan is of prime importance to the economy. Basic industries like steel, engineering and chemicals have been nationalized, and the output of all products necessary to the growth of prosperity are being increased. Better recognition of the dignity of labour is called for, and a major target is an improvement in the role of women. Of course, education is a vital cornerstone of the progress Pakistan desires. The aims, as shown in these dances and backgrounds, are universal primary education for boys from 1983 and from 1987 for girls. The act devoted to defense of the motherland is presented by Army Jawans. Pictures represent the might of Pakistan's ground, naval and air forces. Pakistan's arms and munitions industries are expanding rapidly, and she sends military experts to other countries to assist in their training. An example of this takes place in Saudi Arabia itself, where some members of the Saudi Air Force are trained by Pakistani pilots. This part of the show demonstrates the value of discipline and training and shows the citizens of tomorrow what they too can achieve. Once again, tableaus proclaim Pakistan's wish to strengthen its solidarity with other Muslim nations. It's a great day for these young Pakistanis, using their months of hard work to show their most honoured guest all their skill, training and youthful enthusiasm. For His Majesty too, an exciting experience. He's been part of this great celebration under the flags and banners of the two countries, united by their faith in Islam. United by the belief that there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is his prophet. In the cool once again of the evening in Islamabad, another glittering reception for His Majesty King Khalid bin Abdul-Aziz. This time he is the guest at the Foreign Office of the Prime Minister for official presentation of Pakistan's diplomatic corps. The Saudi entourage includes the ministers for defense and aviation, for foreign affairs, for finance and national economy, and for information, as well as His Majesty's special advisors. An enjoyable evening for all the guests, but serious business concerning the future of Islamic nations was never far away. The Saudi Ministerial Commission made a promising start in Islamabad to talks which continued throughout the royal tour. And a final duty for the evening, the signing of the official visitors' book. Day 3 dawns over Islamabad, another sultry morning, another pleasant duty on His Majesty's momentous tour. For today he is to lay the foundation stone for the great mosque, which is to be named after his late brother, King Faisal, God rest his soul. For Islamabad, already a city of great mosques, the Faisal Mosque will be the greatest. When the late King Faisal, God rest his soul, saw its proposed site here in 1966, he was so impressed with the idea that he offered to pay the cost of building it. Architects from 13 nations competed in the design, which will finally lie at the foot of the Margala Hills in a 45-acre park. The Shah Faisal Majid will be a fitting tribute to one of the best-loved of all Islamic leaders and a permanent reminder of the fraternal ties between these two great nations. It promises to supersede even the great Badshahi in Lahore, one of the most famous mosques in the whole of Islam. The building is distinguished by 3 gleaming white marble domes and several minarets. Built in 1671 by the last Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb, Badshahi is the largest Muslim place of worship to be found anywhere. The artwork on Badshahi's walls is distinctively Islamic, where infinite skill and imagination have been lovingly applied to abstract designs based on plants, geometrical shapes and calligraphy, consisting mainly of sacred readings from the Holy Quran. For His Majesty, as guardian of the sacred Kaaba, the visit to Badshahi promises to be an enriching religious experience.
من آمن بالله واليوم الآخر وأقام الصلاة وآتى الزكاة وأقام الصلاة وآتى الزكاة ولم يخش إلا الله فعسى.
For the king, a memorable visit completed by Nafil prayers and followed by a drive through the historic city to the beautiful Shalimar Gardens. The Shalimar Gardens, built in 1641 by Shah Jahan the Glorious, are an unsurpassed example of Mughal landscape design and a fitting scene for the largest ever civic reception given by Pakistan to a visiting head of state. Young people wearing traditional costumes from all Pakistan's regions welcome the royal party with flower petals. "9,000 people representing all walks of life in Lahore have travelled great distances to honour their highly esteemed royal visitor. In the King's honour, the royal balcony is lavishly furnished and carpeted to resemble a luxurious drawing room. For His Majesty, a moment to savour, for the Shalimar Gardens are believed by Pakistanis to be the loveliest gardens in the whole of Asia, rich in history and romance. The city of Lahore has spared no expense to ensure His Majesty is aware of its loveliness by night as well as by day. Cascades of lanterns speak of a glorious welcome for the King to Lahore, a city which feels great pride in its position at the head of Pakistan's cultural and academic life. Multicoloured lights were also installed at the Palace of Mirrors at the historic Lahore Fort. The occasion